second most
All right. If you have just been watching a very silent stream for the last 2 seconds, our audio is back. We are fully back live. Everything is great.
Everything is wonderful. So happy to be here. So happy to have you all here. Welcome to VML week 1 of season 3.
Yay!
Yay!
We did it.
All right. We're here.
While we were silent, we were just highlighting Emma Handy saying it was completely irresponsible to play a deck that wasn't Sultai. So, you know,
just
you gotta listen to your Mythic Invitational Top 16 player, Emma Handy.
Yes. 2020 Grand Finals competitor, Emma Handy now
2020 Grand Finals competitor, Emma Handy.
So.
Should we look at WestvaleAbby's deck list?
Yeah, let's take a look. On the other side of the table, we have WestvaleAbby bringing mono green aggro to the table. And cards to watch, there it is, the one you keep mentioning, Garrick's Harbinger. So we'll see. Playing 4 of them in the main deck. Hoping to not see Extinction Event from WestvaleAbby's What Are You Looking Out For your opponent? And saying that Questing Beast is Bay would be the reason that she has brought this deck this week. Questing Beast, also one of the cards to watch. Pretty good after a Wrath, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at this deck list, it's customized to beat Sultai. The 4 Garrick's Harbinger obviously can't be removed by any of the spot removal. A really good split of even and odd CMCs. So you have your Pelt Collectors and your Harbingers are odd, but you also have your 2-drops and 4 copies of Scavenging Ooze. So WestvaleAbby coming in very, very prepared to deal with Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath before it can come back from the graveyard.
That is very, very true. Scavenging Ooze is a very, very good card. I want to make sure you draw that one in this matchup. All right, I think we're ready to dive in here and check out our first feature match here. Week 1, VML Season 3. Invite to the Zendikar Rising Championship on the line this season. And it looks like we'll be watching from the viewpoint of Emma Handy, who will win the die roll and take the play.
And Nicole, the die roll is so important in this matchup, especially if you're the Sultai player. If your mono green opponent is on the play and they start with turn 1 Pelt Collector, your chances are minuscule.
Well, it looks like Emma's starting with 2 lands, a shock land and a tap land. So a little slow, but a trio of removal spells here. So what are your thoughts on the opening hand?
Yeah, on the play, it is a little bit scary to keep that 2-lander, but Emma does have that opt in hand, and that opt, you know, is going to be able to dig her towards at least her 3rd land drop. And then, yeah, the Eliminate and Heartless Act in the opening hand, as well as the Extinction Event, you really couldn't ask for a better hand against this mono green list.
Yes, and we are waiting here. Big mulligan choice from WestvaleAbby's side. Game 1, she knows what she's up against. Going down to 6, and here we go. We'll start with a tapped Triome. Pretty easy land drop, and then pass the turn to Abby.
Yeah, and just, you know, thinking about Emma's few turns, obviously she really, really wants that 3rd land to come off the top. But also, at this stage of the game, you really just want cheap interactive cards.
Yes. It looks like Emma will deploy the op main phase here. Scry is Shark Typhoon at the bottom, but we'll draw the Island Blind there. Playing the Overgrown Tomb tapped and passing the turn back to WestvaleAbby and her Pelt Collector. Still a 1/1.
Yeah, but it does not stay on for very long. And, you know, this is just exactly what this mono green deck does. It plays a 1-drop on turn 1 that attacks as a 2/2 on turn 2, and then every subsequent turn it gets bigger and bigger until you're forced to spend a giant removal spell, you know, and trade down in mana against this Pelt Collector.
Yes. We'll see Emma draw her 4th land for turn. Another Triome, so a tap land, so a little slower. it looks like Emma's going to hold any removal spells here and opt to go with Euro instead.
Yeah, I like this play from Emma because she's on the play. She hasn't really felt that much pressure from these attackers, only taking 2 damage from that Pelt Collector so far. And, you know, she has that breathing room to be able to sit back, get this Uro going, and see where it takes her.
All right. We will see Abby play a Harbinger before coming across for 5. Another land. Now Emma's got all the lands she could need and an Extinction Event ready to go.
Extinction Event, the perfect answer to this Garrick's Harbinger as well as that Pelt Collector. Love to see all those little creatures get swept away. And by that I mean I'm inherently horrifically biased towards this one.
May I ask what you played this week?
I'll give you one guess, Nicole.
Well, it would have been irresponsible to play anything else. But, you know.
I can only bow before the wisdom of Emma Handy.
So we'll see WestvaleAbby shove a little bit onto the battlefield here, playing a Pelt Collector and the adventure side of Lovestruck Beast, just to make a couple 1/1s, put some more presence on the battlefield. But that will be met by Anissa from Emma's side. And
look at this perfect mana here from Emma. You know, really making good use of her mana every single turn, getting this Nissa down early, and now she has 2 black producing forests untapped, holding up both of these removal spells. So really great mana efficiency here.
Yes, and still sitting at 14 life, it would have to be a pretty big emergency for her to want to deploy both.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's great to have them in hand, and there being only 3 cards in the graveyard for Uro right now, I guess if you're Emma, you actually want to be spending these cards somewhat so that you can get that escape going.
All right, we're going to see a Primal Might here. X equals 3 to fight that Overgrown Tomb on the 1/1 token. Emma's thinking about Eliminate.
Yeah, very, you know, pretty clever of WestvaleAbby actually to use that token to fight. Since she does have enough mana to do that, it is better, of course, to if you're going to risk getting 2 for 1, to risk your half a card rather than your Pelt Collector that's going to get bigger.
That is very true. So well played by Abby to avoid a blowout there. And Overgrown Tomb tapped on Emma's side. That will quickly become untapped as a 3/3. And why not get in there?
Yeah, I mean, at this point of the match, it's going to take quite a lot for WestvaleAbby to really get back in this one. With Nissa active and 1 billion mana available to Emma, you know, there would have to be a very good series of draws here from WestvaleAbby, and here's one of them.
All right, Questing Beast on the battlefield from Abby's side. Questing Beast will get into the red zone. Emma's thinking about what to do here.
And, you know, Emma's looking at this 4 cards in her graveyard thinking, if I double block with these lands, I will actually get the right number of cards in the graveyard to escape this Uro.
Ah, see, and holding the Heartless Act in hand at the same time.
Yeah, Emma being really, really patient with these removal spells, preferring to use any resources she has on board. Showing really great patience here.
All right, making sure to tap those islands for Uro here. Perfect amount of cards in the graveyard, and we will see Uro escape onto the battlefield, gaining some life, drawing some cards, putting lands into play, doing all of it.
Doing just Uro things.
It's just Uro things. That's all. A 3/3 land, not attack. Scared. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this attack with the Overgrown Tomb. Just saying, you know, I'm going to trade my land drops for your real spells. What are you going to do about it?
Abby considering a block. Looks like Abby is willing to go for a trade here.
Yeah, I guess if you're Abby at this point, you really I mean, you have a lot of problems, but the first among your problems is that Nissa and potentially the threat of Nissa ultimating. So this way, if you block, it leaves you open to drawing Questing Beast or another, haste type threat that can help you with taking down this Nissa.
Yeah, so Stone Coil will come in to attack the Nissa. We'll see a post-combat Shifting Ceratops. Still only 4 mana in play, so can't give it any abilities at the moment. And Emma will opt another Eliminate to the top and draw that. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and Heartless Act as well, dealing with the Shifting Ceratops. Very efficient there for Emma being able to deal with that Shifting Ceratops. And I will say, one feature of the VML and something that is kind of unique to the VML and something that we've seen season after season is that because players know who they're going to be playing against each week, they can actually look at what decks their opponent favors in order to try and metagame against them. And WestvaleAbby, has been on the VML before, and I'm sure possibly their deck lists have been public before during VML streams / during VML tournaments, and Emma may well have come into this week knowing that WestvaleAbby prefers these aggressive strategies and putting bringing these Heartless Acts, etc. in the main deck because of it.
Yes, if anything, that's something that makes the league a little bit more difficult, is that you have to metagame week to week and stay on top of deck lists and changes every week. So, and anticipate what your opponent is bringing, or, the other way around, thinking that they're going to anticipate what you're bringing. So.
Yeah, it really becomes this double bluffing game where you're trying to outwit your opponent.
Well, only a fool would drink the wine that is in front of me because, So we're going to move to sideboards here. Emma snapped in that 4th copy of Extinction Event. Not really a surprise there. Enter the God Eternals looks like it's coming in, and Noxious Grasps as well. Looks like cutting some disputes. And what else do you think we are going to see here?
I think basically that is what the sum of what Emma's going to do. I'm just going to look at WestvaleAbby's list to see if there's a copy of the Great Henge in this side. Because Emma, thinking about those copies of Wilt, there are actually no copies of Great Henge in WestvaleAbby sideboard. So, Stone Cold Serpent, I think, probably not scary enough to justify bringing these Wilts in. But if there were, 1 or 2 copies of the Great Henge in WestvaleAbby sideboard, it would be pretty tempting, I think, to bring in an answer to that.
Yes, in WestvaleAbby sideboard, we have 2 Ram-Throughs, 1 Voracious Hydra, 3 Gem Razor, 4 Oakhame Adversary. Oakhame?
Yeah.
1 Shifting Ceratops, 1 Elder Gargaroth, and 3 Ugin the Ineffable. So it'll be interesting to see what she brings in here.
Yeah, I don't like sideboarding a lot with this mono green list against Sultai because it's already really pre-built to beat Sultai. So I don't really like bringing in too many different things or slower things because I think that it detracts from the kind of aggressive strategy of the deck. But I do certainly like that copy of Shifting Ceratops and potentially the Elder Gargaroth just to bring in a resilient threat as well. But, that might be more for the aggressive strategies. So, yeah, we'll see whether WestvaleAbby has really changed that much in this game too.
All right, and we'll see Abby start things off with a forest after keeping 7. We have Emma on 6, hand flush with lands here. Abby will get things started with a Barkhide Troll.
Oh, that eliminate.
That eliminate. A timely draw on Emma's side. But will she deploy it, is the question.
Yeah, it's a good question. The thing with Barkhide Troll is that it does not have hexproof if you don't have mana up. So a play pattern you'll commonly see is to tap out for eliminate here because when you let them untap, that Barkhide Troll becomes a lot harder to deal with.
Gotcha. And she will take care of Barkhide Troll. Pass it back. Abby, just a land drop and a pass. The draw here is a Krasis.
Yeah, no 3-drop from Abby. I think Emma is breathing a little sigh of relief because Emma's hand here is pretty slow to get going, and if there had been a Pelt Collector on 1 and a Garrett's Harbinger on 3, this this game would be almost over. As it is, Questing Beast is still pretty scary though.
Yes, Questing Beast staring Emma down now at 14 life. We'll see a 2/2 Crisis come down here, gain a life, draw a card, another land. Lands aren't the worst though on the Sultai side.
They're not the worst, but this Crisis not doing very much in the face of Questing Beast, since one among the many chapters of the novel that is the Questing Beast rules text does say that it can't be blocked by creatures of power 2 or less. So kind of an annoying size for this Crisis. If you're Emma here.
Yeah, I believe it's chapter 2. So.
Oh, nice. Of how many?
But it is one of those creatures that surprises me with so many words on it. It does not have reach, which is the most hidden ability. Ooh, we will see a Primal Might come down and take care of Crisis. So that will die, and Emma will take 6, dropping down to 9.
Oh yeah, that Primal Might is basically a fireball in these green decks, and really great, I think, to see WestvaleAbby keeping them in post-board. I think a lot of the temptation would be to side some number of them out, but I really like this, keeping this Primal Might in, because you can just steal so many games with that card.
We'll see Nissa hit the battlefield, animate the Triome, decide not to attack into Questing Beasts, and pass the turn back.
Yeah, leaving up this Heartless Act for that Questing Beast. Kind of a little bit scary, I think, here for Emma, because this Zagoth Triumph is her only black source. So if she does need to block with it, it's bad if she wants to draw into Extinction Event or if she wants to draw into more black removal.
Oh my, yes, and with Shifting Ceratops coming into the battlefield and getting haste, and Emma only at 9 life, it looks like it's going to have to block.
Yeah, this is a force block here. Shifting Ceratops just has haste this turn, so no trample on that one.
No trample.
Well, actually, I think Emma actually probably can just eat the Pelt Collector here and use that Heartless Act to take down the Shifting Ceratops. That way, she doesn't have to let this Triumph die at least for one more turn.
Oh, if she blocks the Collector and then Heartless Axe, it will get another counter. But I think you're right. She does want to keep it alive.
You are correct.
Oh,
it would do that.
She is dropping a 2 either way, and with the 1 blocker.
Wow, Aether Gust. What a great draw though from Emma Handy. This Aether Gust is such a good card because you could deal with this Questing Beast. It doesn't even trigger the Pelt Collector, death trigger clause.
Yes.
And yeah, no surprise to see Emma here just throwing these Nisses out onto the battlefield and making more blockers.
Yes, those blockers may be important, sitting at a very low 2 life. But that Aether Gust is definitely going to come in handy here. Staring down a Questing Beast and a Pelt Collector from the other side. 2 cards in hand on WestvaleAbby side, still sitting at 20 life.
Yeah, this is not where you want to be if you're Emma. I mean, it looks fine. You've got your Nissa going, you have these lands to protect you for now, but sitting at 2, there's just so many ways for the mono green deck to get that last 2 points of damage through. I'm thinking especially of cards like Vivian Arcbow Ranger, which dish out +1/+1 counters and give trample, and they really become a headache for these decks.
Yes, Abby's going to go a little wider here, play the 1/1 off a Lovestruck Beast, followed by the Lovestruck Beast itself, growing the Pelt Collector. And we'll see that Aether Gust deployed on the Questing Beast. Now, It's interesting to see what Abby will do here. She decides to put the questing beast on the top of the library and double block that pelt collector.
Yeah, I think it's not too sad to trade our land for that pelt collector. It is a big threat. But it just feels like Emma's King Canute standing on the beach holding back the tide.
Yes.
This scavenging ooze is going to become huge as well.
Yes, and it looks like everything except the token getting into the red zone from Abby's side here. We got questing beast, scavenging ooze that can grow, and a love struck beast. Everything's gonna have to get jumped in front of. We got 3 blockers for 3 attackers.
Yeah, and Emma really, really hoping to rip a copy of Extinction Event off the top, but just trying to think whether there are 2 creatures in the graveyard. There are, so actually Emma's not even going to have a black source after this attack.
Oh my. No, Emma does not have any blockers left, and I don't know that we're going to cycle the Triome, give it another shot. Is Uro enough to stay alive? I
don't think so.
Seems like it.
Yeah. Uro taking Emma back up to 5 life, and then that land would even be tapped, so there wouldn't even be a blocker. And I mean, I'm not the greatest mathematician in the world, Nicole, but I believe WestvaleAbby has more than 5 power on the battlefield.
Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what they say? Math is for blockers. So.
Yeah. It's probably why I'm such a bad combat math person. I just don't want to be blocking. All right.
Just let you figure it out. Well, we are back in sideboards for a game 3 here. Now, this game, Emma's going to be back on the play, which, like you said, it seems like nobody's been able to break serve here. You're on the play, you win. So, ball's back in Emma's court. Doesn't look like she wants to make any changes, though.
Yeah, there isn't really a big difference between play and draw in this matchup. You've still got to keep your 2 mana removal spells. Emma not playing any discard effects, I believe, in the list. So usually those are the kind of flex slots on the play draw. Sometimes you have some discard, sometimes you don't. But Emma not playing any discard, having predicted that WestvaleAbby is bringing aggro this week. Doesn't really have any of those choices to make, so very simple, just resubmit and be happy to be on the play.
Right, be like, we're doing it. All right, we're looking at 3 lands, an Aether Gust, an Hydrake Races, a Nissa, and an Enter the God Eternals. Looks like it's a snap keep for Emma, who will start off with the Triome and pass it on to Abby, who also kept 7 here. We'll start with a 1/1 beast, human token from Lovestruck Beast. Heart's Desire.
I always call it the princess token.
The princess. Oh, I like that.
It's a princess.
It's true. The princess token. We'll see a Shockland come in tapped on Emma's side, and a pass back to WestvaleAbby, who play a Stonecoil Serpent and get in with the princess, bringing Emma down to 19.
Yeah, Stonecoil Serpent, a great card in the green deck in general. I know a lot of people like it against Sultai, but it's actually not. It's not as good as it looks against Sultai, because yes, it does attack past Uro, attacks past Hydrake Races, but it does die to both Heartless Act and Eliminate pretty often. So it is a nice card to have, but I think for WestvaleAbby, you would rather that those 1 and 2 drops were Pal Collector, Barkeye Troll, and not necessarily Princess Stonecoil Serpent.
So we will see Emma cast both Opt and Aether Gust on that turn to Aether Gust the Lovestruck Beast back to the top of Abby's library and draw a Watery Grave for turn. So now we have a double Hydrake Races in hand. 4 lands to play. We want to get to that 5 land sweet spot. So
yeah, Emma really just trying to survive here until turn number 5, doing a pretty good job of it as well. And getting this Hydrake Races down early, pretty nice to be able to offer some protection for the Nissa to come down next turn.
Yes, Emma's still at a very healthy 17 life. Abby deciding on the next play. We know that the Love Struck Beast is back in her hand. Haven't seen a land yet.
Yeah, the 4th land is actually really crucial for this mono green deck. Sometimes when you see them stumble on mana a little, it can actually be really bad because, you know, the early drop creatures are good. They are threats. Your Love Struck Beast 3 mana 5/5, nothing really to be scoffed at. But when you see, when you look at the deck list, really the cards that win you the game are at 4. Your Questing Beast, your Shifting Ceratops, your Vivians, and you really kind of want those to be online.
All right, we'll see a pre-combat Pelt Collector just in case anything went wrong before Primal Mining away that Hydroid Krasis and getting into the red zone for 5 damage, bringing Emma down to 13. We'll see a quick land drop and decide of which 5-drop will she play.
Yeah, I like this decision to go with Enter rather than the Nissa, untap a land, leave up, eliminate. Getting the 4/4 down is so crucial. You can't target a Stonecoil Serpent with it because it is a multicolored card, but the zombie that you make is a 4/4 and it's a monocolored, so it's pretty good at holding down this board.
Yes, and hitting an Uro off of your Enter the God Eternals feels really good until your opponent plays Scavenging Ooze and eats it.
Well, you know, that's why WestvaleAbby's put that card in the deck. It's just like, lol, you comboed off with your mill Uro plan. Nice job. I have a modern playable card that I'm going to just deploy.
All right, but the hits aren't going to stop coming from Emma's side here. We see her tap 5 mana, and Nissa's back onto the battlefield. So she never really went away, though, I guess. So.
Oh my god! Wow, she is going away next week, Nicole.
She is. I don't trust it though. They're gonna be like reprint.
Oh my god!
Surprise.
Nicole, if they reprint Nissa Who Shakes the World in Zendikar, there will be riots. I guarantee you. Yeah, just so everybody knows, next week of the VML we are going to be playing current standard because rotation doesn't have till Thursday. But the week after that, it is going to be new standard.
From WestvaleAbby side, we're going to see a Bonders Enclave, which I thought was an interesting. I only recently started seeing that in mono green decks. What are your thoughts on that card? Like a non-forest, non-green land.
Yeah, I like it. The decks aren't playing Yorvo anymore. So back when the decks were playing Yorvo, you would get caught out by your Bonders Enclave or your Mobilized District. But now that, I mean, you are playing Barkeye Troll, which is green, but you're not playing a triple green card in this deck anymore because Yorvo's pretty much been replaced by Garrick's Harbinger. So it is now a little bit better to play this colorless line.
Yes. All right, we'll see Vivian, Arcbow Ranger, coming down. -3 to have the Scavenging Ooze deal damage to the Overgrown Tomb, but that's going to be stopped by an Eliminate out of Emma's hand.
Oh, this Eliminate is really big here. It'll be interesting to hear why WestvaleAbby chose to go for this minus. I do like it because it does, clear the way to try and take out this Nissa Who Shakes the World. Mm-hmm. But, she does have quite a wide board already, so possibly the +1/+1 counter, a bit more of a conservative play, but, I'm just a scaredy cat, so I don't do the safer thing. And
I mean,
wow.
If there was no removal spell, it would have been a good, you never know. It's hard to say when, you have full information about what you're up against.
Yeah, and obviously we have the benefit of knowing what's in Emma's hand.
We're going to see a nice size Krasis here. A Krasis for 6 get cast. We're going to draw 3 lands. So nothing too exciting, but we now have a 6/6. That's the exciting part.
That is the exciting part, you're right. And this is now a huge army coming in at Vivian, Arcbow Ranger. Things looking really good for Emma now. I think it's difficult. I think, for the mono green deck to come back from this stage without that Planeswalker on the battlefield. So I think for WestvaleAbby, we're really looking for, a big draw, a questing beast, another copy of Vivian to try and come back.
So Abby trading off her board for one of Emma's lands here. We'll see Lovestruck Beast make another 1/1 token and then come down onto the battlefield right behind it. But Emma's still at 18 life, so at a pretty high life total here. Able to scry in her upkeep and still keep mana up. We've got an Opt on top there. She will draw for turn.
Yeah, Opt, actually, I really do want to talk about Opt because it's it kind of looks pretty innocuous as a card. Like, you think, oh, Opt, it's just filler. But since Growth Spiral has been banned, Opt is really a premier way of filling up your graveyard if you're the Sultai deck. Like, especially against these aggressive strategies, Emma knew that Uro was going to be a major part of her game plan. She knew that she would need to rely on that life gain ability from Uro, and that's why we're seeing these Ops in this list, where you might not see the Ops regularly in a Sultai list that you would take to the ladder, because these Ops, they're so cheap, they dig you deeper towards your answers, and they fill up the graveyard for your Uro to come.
Yes. We'll see just the Crisis feeling frisky there, getting into the red zone, bringing Abby down to 17 as we pass the turn back to Abby's side. 3 cards in hand, sitting at 17 life. Lovestruck Beast and a 1/1 Princess token on the battlefield. Start off with a Pelt Collector.
Okay, let's see if there's a big 4-drop to follow up here for WestvaleAbby. I never thought I would say this, but I'm really rooting for a questing beast.
This feels like a really big turn. Looks like Lovestruck Beast will attempt to attack the Nissa. But the army token jumping right in front. Nissa at 8 loyalty here. We'll see a Garrick's Harbinger from Abby's side. Growing the Pelt Collector to a 2/2. I'm not sure that this is going wide enough here.
Yeah, I mean, this Nissa who shakes the world, just making so much mana, and we're going to see the Wombo combo.
Oh my!
The Splinter Twin of Standard, which is ultimate 1 Nissa. Get all your lands and play your second Nissa out.
Yeah. I mean, and with 2 forests in her hand already here. Looks like we're going to start by cycling the Triumph, see if we can find anything better. But I guess not. So it's new Nissa. See, Nissa's back again. Back on the battlefield. Never goes away.
Yeah, and WestvaleAbby knows what's up here.
Yes, and that will be enough. Emma Handy will take down week 1 against WestvaleAbby to go up 1-0 in our first division. So, what an exciting first match.
Yeah, that was great, actually, from both players. A lot of back and forth in those games. And ultimately, Emma Handy really making very efficient use of her resources. We saw her multiple times sitting on removal spells that other players might be tempted to use earlier on or to use before their time, but Emma really making use of board resources, trading off her lands, trading off her creatures, even chumping them off just to preserve her cards in hand, and really paying off there.
Yes, a great amount of discipline and a great deck, a great showing from both sides, but ultimately Emma came down victorious. So that was phenomenal. That was fantastic.
And Emma advancing to 1-0 now in her division. For people who don't know, there's 8 people in each division, and everyone plays each other. So, 1-0, really good start to the league, but there's a long way yet to go.
Oh yes, 0-1 doesn't mean much of anything. Funny story, I actually started 0-2 last season, and I made top 4. So.
Oh,
nice. Yeah, I wasn't feeling too great after week 2, but you're still alive. So.
Yeah, I will say though, this season we have seen an incredibly stacked field. It's just incredible, the caliber of competitors, such as Emma Handy, and Emma obviously top 16 Mythic Envy, multiple SCG results, broadcaster as well on the SCG tour. And just in Emma's division alone, we also have Sarah Zyler, who very well known, very well respected GP grinder and host of or co-host of the Proven Combatants podcast. And we also have Jana Amari, who has been doing super well on the ladder and huge Twitch streamer. So, and that's just in Division 1.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I read all the divisions I was like, Division 1, wow, I'm glad I'm not in that division. And I read Division 2, I'm like, wow, I'm glad I'm not in that division. And I just read them all. I'm like, oh gosh, this is just how this tournament's going to be, huh? It's just pick your poison. Well, we will be watching 2 of your division mates later on tonight. For those of you who don't know, Hayu's playing with us this season. She is in Division 6 with Mighty Linguini, our reigning champion, and Mythic Mikaela, who we will have the pleasure of watching a little later on.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about these difficult divisions, but I just want to fly the flag for Division 6 for a second.
Please do. Sure I want to hear it.
I'm sure throughout the season we're going to see some rivalries between these divisions come up, but Division 6 is, in my mind, just like, that the meme of the dog in the fiery room saying this is fine. Like, that's me in Division 6. So we have Rivals member Aliyah Deshan, Beatrice Grandship, and then we have season 2 winner and a co-caster, of course, with me, Mighty Linguini. We have Holy Diva Daniela Diaz. We have Mythic Mikaela. And like, it's honestly an insane division. I'm just sat there like, please don't hurt me.
Well, so when you all were saying, oh, the divisions are out, they decided the divisions, they're like, you were talking to Mighty Linguini and saying, hey, I'm in your division, and so is Mythic Mikaela, and so is. I was like, I'm not in the division, am I? And you were like, no. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. We can't all be knocking each other out.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see some more of who's in what division as we go along tonight as well.
Oh, we will. So I'm ready to dive into feature match number 2 tonight. We're gonna start. We're jumping on over to Division 4. We have Lucina, who they brought Abzan Flicker this week. Wow.
Yeah, something. This is that now for something completely different part of the broadcast. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really happy that 80 card decks aren't dead and gone. I'm glad somebody was still playing it. So
I am too. We made this this slide template to be able to fit 80 cards on for a reason. And last season we saw a lot of obviously a lot of Yorion decks with the with banned lists, as well as the Yorion Jeskai Lucker Fires shenanigans. And yeah, it's great to see Yorion still kind of flying the flag here. I actually just really wanted to talk about this deck list. This is something really, really innovative that, we haven't seen a lot of. I know we have seen Yorion Flicker decks before. We saw Yorion with the likes of Burglar Rat, the discard spells, Charming Prince, that kind of deck, which popularized a couple of PTs ago. And that list kind of evolved into there's an Esper list. A lot of them play Treacherous Blessing, play Doom Foretold, and those kind of cards, the Omens, and things that just give you value when they get flickered. But this list is something a little different to that again. This is a combo deck. This deck plays Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, which is the vampire from M21, which has a very key line of text on it, Nicola, and it says, whenever you gain life, your opponent loses that much life. Or possibly each opponent, but certainly your opponent. And if you look at all of the cards in this deck, most of them gain you life in some way when they enter the battlefield. Maya Triton gives you 2 life, knows 2 cards. Basilica Bellhorn, you gain some life, your opponent your opponent discards a card. Charming Prince, there's a gain life mode on that. Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves. Oath of Kaya. So this is really an insane list which tries to get Veto Thorn of the Duskers out and then use Yorion effects to keep flickering life gain into the possibility that can then combo out with your opponent losing that much life.
I mean, I love it. And Lucina did say in their, when I was questioning them about the deck, they said that this deck is of the design of another VML competitor, HG Rose, who we will be featuring later on this evening. So a shout out to them for such wonderful innovation, and obviously a shout out to Lucina for bringing this awesome deck to the VML in week 1.
All right, what's Lucina playing against?
Well, we've got another non-Sultai, non-mono green deck here in mono white aggro in the hands of Aaron Barich. So a pretty straightforward mono white aggro deck. We've got our Loxodons, Healer's Hawk, a lot of little white weenies, just send them out there, pump them up, try to kill your opponent really quick.
Wow, yeah. We haven't really seen a mono white list do that well recently, so I'm really, really excited to see whether this one can get there. I love that this list has, got the giant killers in, has got the unbreakable formation, so it looks like Aaron was actually pretty prepared to come against control decks, especially ones that play sweepers and maybe big creatures, but probably wasn't going to be and you see Erin there saying that she actually did hedge against Sultai, but I bet she was a little surprised to see Abzan Yorion life gain combo flicker on the so it'll be very interesting to see where this matchup goes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I feel like neither player here saw the other player's deck coming.
I love that.
I think
Magic
it's
like it used to be.
Like, I love it. I, for one, am going to misvenerate a Loxodon. So that is one of the cards that I will miss once it rotates out. I haven't seen mono white aggro since when the Teamer Rec decks were taken over a few months back. I know some people were picking up mono white to kind of best that in the way that they're picking up mono white to best Sultai at the moment. So this will definitely be very interesting to see how these decks interact with each other when they were so prepared to deal with Sultai.
Yeah, well, it might be a case of just two ships passing in the night, like each trying to do their own thing. But if I had to pick, I would say that probably we're going to see the life gain strategy come out on top, because life gain generally is pretty good against aggro. But if this mono white deck can get off to a quick start with a lot of aggressive 1-drops, then it could easily go Aaron's way.
All right, I'm ready to get started here. Let's check out this match. We have both sides on this stream. We'll see Aaron win the die roll here, so she will be on the play. Lucina's on the bottom side of the screen, Aaron on the top. And it looks like both players will keep, and we'll get started. So we've got a Loyal Pegasus on Aaron's side, cannot attack or block alone. And a Temple from Lucina's side. Scry to the top, that Charming Prince. And we'll see him hit the battlefield.
Yeah, Charming Prince, a really, really key part of this Yorion strategy. The fact that you can start looping it with Yorion and then folding more and more permanents into the loop as you go does make this one of the most important cards, I would say, in this kind of strategy.
It seems that Lucina will scry to and keep both on top. The land first, the threat below it, and then a Seasoned Hollowblade from Aaron's side, and a Loxodon to pump the team.
There's your elephant that you wanted to see. Right. And look at this, and it's turn 3, and Aaron's board is just absolutely terrifying already.
Yes, it's very intimidating. I know those Hollowblades can be difficult to deal with. Charming Prince is staring down a lot here. We'll see Oath of Kaya come down to take care of that flyer. But we'll see a Fairy Godmother and an Unbreakable Formation from Aaron's side. What a quick start here. Bringing Lucina down to 10 with an almost empty board.
Wow, yeah. This start by Aaron is just exactly what they needed. And wow, turn 4 kill there by Aaron Barich.
Yes. It looked like even killing and gaining the life, killing an attacker, gaining the life wasn't enough to keep Lucina alive. So let's just dive right into game 2.
Yeah, looking at this sideboard, it is interesting in this kind of matchup where you really weren't expecting what your opponent brought, and you had no idea what, you'd kind of hedged against the most popular deck, a very reasonable thing to do. And you're looking at your sideboard thinking, what do any of these cards do? I can see Devour Decree, like there's a couple of black creatures. Maybe Gideon, always good against a kind of value strategy. Glass Casket, maybe for your Charming Princes, or to get rid of a blocker at a key time. But really, I think for Aaron Barich, the important thing is really just to repeat what they did in game 1 and keep that critical mass of creatures.
Yes, it looks like on Lucina's side we have a couple of Noxious Grasps, 2 Shifting Ceratops, 3 Ashiok Dream Renders, an Elspeth Conquers Death, 3 Night of Autumn, and 3 Extinction Events. So
I believe we'll actually get to see them.
Oh, we do get to see them both. What a treat!
Yeah, the magic of recorded matches, of course, means that you could do wizardry like this, where we can bring you both sides of the sideboard.
Yes, and I would like to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to our producer Phoebe, who works so incredibly hard behind the scenes so that we can see things like this. So thank you, Phoebe.
Yeah, and not surprised to see, Lucina thinking about these vetoes, because you kind of maybe want to pare down on the combo elements a little bit, but otherwise I like the changes. I like bringing in these the sweeper effects, of course, and just trying to get a handle on the board.
Yes, we'll see Lucina play an Agonizing Remorse, so they will get to take a look at the hand that we already have seen. So exile a card.
Yeah, taking that Heraldic Banner, definitely the right choice. I think there's just too many 1-drops. You can't take all of them. You may as well take as much power off the battlefield as you can by taking that pump effect away.
Yes. And Oath of Kaya will take care of one of the Pegasus and pass the turn back.
Yeah, you gave a shout out to Phoebe, which I completely agree with. Phoebe, awesome producer. We've been working with her since season 1. I also really want to give a shout out to Angel of Grace, who stepped in to kind of be a backup producer last season, and also made this awesome new overlay where we have the hand cam window and everything visible, and I just think it looks so good, and really great job to both of them.
Yes, we're very lucky to have a fantastic team. We'll see Erin get into the red zone there. She attacks for 4, bringing Lucina down to 12. Night of Autumn will come in as a 4/3, ready to block.
Oh, Night of Autumn, great to see it come in, as a big blocker, but Erin just drawing that Heraldic Banner the next turn, it's pretty brutal here.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we will see her play the Unbreakable formation first to bring Lucina down to 4. Mythos of Mithroi, although could take care of one of these attackers.
Yeah, difficult to see what Lucina can really do here. Charming Prince, it does gain you some life, but only scries. You can only either choose the gain life or the scry, and it really doesn't use up very much of your mana. Unfortunately for Lucina, it's just this scorchingly quick start from Erin once again, really taking this game over.
Yes, unfortunately unable to draw a land there for like Tolsimir to be able to fight something, gain a little life, maybe have a little bit of a buffer, and then be able to play Yorion next turn, do it all over again, gain a little more life. But Night of Autumn, gonna get into the red zone, getting blocked by the Venerable Knight. We'll go to damage to see the trade there.
Yeah, interesting attack there by Lucina. And it worked. Being able to trade off, and of course, get that blocker down. Would have potentially saved them, but unfortunately, this heraldic banner is going to do the job here.
Yes, that was, I believe she ended both games empty-handed, which is exactly what you want to see if you are an aggro player. So good games on both sides. Aaron will move up to 1-0 in Division 4, but it's only week 1. There's plenty of time left. So
yeah, plenty of time for Lucina and their spicy list to maybe make it back in the next week. But yeah, very impressive performance there from the mono white list. I can definitely see why Erin Barich brought that, especially if she was expecting a lot of Sultai this week, because the Sultai lists, also do not do anything until turns 3 or 4, and especially with the removal suite that you generally see from the Sultai list, eliminate obviously is going to do something, but you're usually going to trade down a mana, and then mono white, of course, completely laughs at the card Aethergust.
Sure. It's
yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, so great deck choice there from Erin, and really paying off for her.
Yes, for sure. All right, I'm ready to go into our next match in your division, I believe. I think we're going to take here a look at Division 6. Start with the Mighty Linguini, our reigning Season 2 VML champion, bringing mono green aggro this week.
Yeah. Carolyn, she's the Mighty Linguini. Excellent job last season. Managed to battle through the whole thing and win. And a lot of people said it was rigged because she's a caster, but she definitely won it fair and square, and back to defend her title this season. No surprise to see her bring mono green. She's been playing variations of this list for a while, and she does really like these assertive strategies. So yeah, I'm if I had to predict what deck she would be on this week, it would have been this list.
Yes, and it does look like she was saying that she had some very positive results, and though she had not played against Sultai very much with it. So, but again, from her, we'll be looking for the Garrix Harbinger, the Questing Beast, the Vivian, all the usual suspects.
The usual suspects. Yeah, and you can see that again, this VML meta game coming into play, because the Mighty Linguinian's opponent, Mythic Mikaela, also did make the top 8 last season, made the top 8 in Season 1 also. So long history of Mythic Mikaela in the VML. And from Mythic Mikaela's history, Caroline knows that Mikaela favors these mid-range, value, grindy decks, because Mikaela really has brought that kind of list almost every week. And Caroline able to really hedge against that with the aggressive strategy.
Yes, when Mikaela was asked, what are your favorite decks to play, she said, quote, the best deck. Best deck, all caps. Probably mid-range decks are her style, but she'll play whatever is the best metagame call, usually. It has been in loving memory of Fires of Invention. As we think back again to we can't fully escape that Yuri and Luca Fires deck that overtook.
Oh my god.
That overtook
Mikaela is like the #1 fan of Fires of Invention. Like, if Fires of Invention had a gravestone, it would have Mythic Mikaela's like inscription on it, like her dedication on it. Because Mikaela absolutely just loved Fires, and just from the beginning, as soon as it was printed, she loved that card. She played it for its entire run in Standard, and yeah, was very upset when it was banned. Yeah, again, no real surprise to see Mikaela bring this Sultai mid-range list. Having a look at Mikaela's list, she, like Emma, didn't put the Narcissus in the main, so great job in terms of the metagaming here. Brings 2 Eliminate, 2 Heartless Act, 3 Eliminate, 2 Heartless Act in the main, as well as 3 Sweepers, and the full 4 Aethergust. So, we can already see that VML metagame shifty one-up, level-up thing happening here, with both players really bringing a deck tuned to beat the other one.
And I just have to bring up the Blight Beetles in the sideboard. The 2-drop, the M20 uncommons. Pro green.
the unplayable in its limited format.
2 of them though. Playing 2 of them.
2 Blight Beetles, like, just saying. I mean, those Blight Beetles may as well be carrying a sign saying, "Hi, Caroline." I mean, you know you're coming.
I feel like, if she did not name her deck Blight Beetles for Caroline, then she missed an opportunity. For anybody who doesn't know, Blight Beetle is a 2-drop, 1 and a black, protection from green, and creatures your opponents control cannot have +1/+1 counters put on them. So that leaves, Heartless Act and things like that as more viable, I suppose. But
yeah.
doesn't look like she's actually playing any.
Yeah, certainly is a very good card in the matchup.
I'm hoping that we get to see one in action. Just one. At one point.
Right. Well, let's find out.
Yeah. Let's get in here. We will be watching from the side of the Mighty Linguini. Mythic Mikaela on the top of your screen. Mighty Linguini quickly keeping her 7 2 lands of Primal Might, Barkeye Troll, Scavenging Ooze, a Harbinger, and a Lovestruck Beast. From Mikaela's side, we got 4 lands, a Shark Typhoon, a Tameo, and a Nissa. What are your thoughts on that hand?
If I'm Mikaela, I'm going to mulligan this hand. I've played a lot of this matchup, and the number of times I've kept a hand like this thinking, oh, it's 4 lands and 3 spells, it's great, Tameo, Nissa, all these great cards, and just literally died instantly, and I completely agree with this mulligan here.
Yeah, so we will see a mulligan to 5 lands, an Aether Gust, and an Uro, but arguably perhaps a better hand here. Lovestruck Beast will make a princess and pass on to Mythic Mikaela, whose draw for turn is Extinction Event. Ooh.
Yeah, great draw. I would say also a much better 6 than the 7. Aether Gust, really key card in this matchup, and Uro as well.
Yes, and we'll see Mikaela actually draw a second Aether Gust there. We'll see a Barkeye Troll now sitting on a Mighty Linguini side. As Mikaela decides what to do here, I suppose with a choice to play an untapped land and hold up Aether Gust, or to play a tap land and just pass the turn.
Yeah, I think on the draw here, if you're Mikaela, you have to leave up that Aether Gust. You don't necessarily have to Aether Gust this Barkeye Troll, although it is tempting. One of the key things with the card Aether Gust is working out when it's a removal spell and when it's a delaying spell. I mean, it's obviously always a removal, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, for sure. Well, it removed that Barkeye Troll that went to the bottom of the library. Mighty Linguini did not want to see that one again.
Yeah, Caroline really just looking for land drops there, hoping to get this Garrick's Harbinger online, and here it is.
All right. We'll see Uro come down onto the battlefield, play a second land. Mikaela's still at a healthy 19 life on turn 4 here. Scavenging Ooze, Pelt Collector. Mighty Linguini just emptying their hand here. It's all on the battlefield.
So that Scavenging Ooze was really just waiting in the wings, waiting for Mikaela to play that turn 3 Uro. Like, this is a play pattern we've seen again and again, and Scavenging Ooze really may be able to take advantage.
See Gem Razor get put in the hands off of the Harbinger trigger. Now with a decent battlefield on Mighty Linguini's side, Mikaela sitting at 14 life, scrying an Eliminate to the top.
Yeah, and very interesting actually to see Mikaela not go for the Extinction Event this turn. It is kind of an awkward place to Extinction Event because there are 2 odds and 2 evens on the battlefield. But Mikaela sitting at 14, I think the consideration being she has at least another turn, and pretty smart of her to conserve that Extinction Event.
Yes, and it looks like Scavenging Ooze and Pelt Collector will contact, bringing Mikaela down a 9. Lovestruck Beast will be the play for turn. Caroline, happy to put the Harbinger on top, having a grasp full of spells already. But Harbinger probably better than most.
Yeah, Harbinger, great card for the post-sweeper part of the game, because you can generally see the first Extinction Event coming, or the first Ritual of Soot, whatever it might be. And Harbinger is just a way to both avoid the the spot removal spells from the Sultai deck and also refill your hand.
All right, so Mikaela will cast the Extinction Event now. The question is it odd or even?
It's a difficult one. I mean, I think you've got to go for odd here to really get the power of the battlefield. But that Scavenging Ooze is basically choking your catch-up mechanic, which is Uro.
So she will go odd. The Lovestruck Beast will get eliminated. The 1/1 Princess token still chugging from turn 1 though, right? So
look at her go.
Right? She's lived through like there's been like 4 removal spells. Don't matter. The Princess is gonna that's a card. Questing Beast. Mikaela, last card in hand is an Aether Gust here.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, Aether Gust, it's fine. It's going to be able to stop Mikaela from dying right now.
Yes.
But she really needs to draw something, and Watergrave is not it.
No, Watergrave will not stop her from dying next turn. So let's move to sideboards. So it looks like we have some Ram-Throughs, Garrick's Harbinger, Gemrazor, Oakham Adversaries, Shifting Ceratops, Elder Gargaroth, Ugin the Ineffable, Voracious Hydras. Got a lot of stuff going on here. Ranger's Guile.
Oh, I like that. This Caroline's was basically a copy-paste of the list that we saw earlier on from WestvaleAbby. I really like Ranger's Guile in this list. And yeah, I think just the usual suspects to come in, the extra Shifting Ceratops, the extra Harbinger.
Nice. And as we pop over to Mythic Mikaela's side, we'll see those Blight Beetles get snapped in.
I'm really rooting for a Blight Beetle to come out. A damper on the plan for Caroline.
I feel like it might be the first time that a Blight Beetle has ever been on a Magic stream. So.
I like to see a lot of these slower spells coming out. Tamio not really going to do very much. Casualties of War just a little bit too slow, and also Caroline does not have a great hand, so Casualty is not really doing that much either.
All right, we will see Caroline keep 7 here. Mikaela is taking a mulligan down to 6. Caroline's hand, 2 forests, one of the Bonder's Enclave, Ranger's Guile, Ram-Through, Scavenging Ooze, and Questing Beast. So some reactive spells here. Mikaela looks like she's putting her Krasis to the bottom, so she'll keep 3 lands, an Aether Gust, a Ritual Soot, and a Nissa.
Yeah, a little bit of a slower hand for Caroline this game, but all of these cards are so good in the matchup. Scavenging Ooze, obviously, we saw it last game, just completely stopping the Uro plan in its tracks. And then Questing Beast and Vivian Arbor Ranger, we've already seen do a lot of work today, and both of these cards just really annoying for the Soulside deck to deal with.
Yes, Caroline playing Scavenging Ooze onto the battlefield. The first action we see here, Scavenging Ooze getting into the red zone, bringing Mikaela down to 18. Garrick's Harbinger, the follow-up here. Pretty strong follow-up. Unfortunately, they will both be Ritual Sooted.
Oh, yeah. If I'm Mikaela, I'm just snapping that Ritual Soot. Just take your 2-for-1 and be happy with it.
But a good follow-up to a sweeper is a Questing Beast. So Questing Beast bringing Mikaela down to 14. Questing Beast is going to be staring at an Uro for about 10 seconds until that goes to the graveyard. After it draws a card, puts a land into play, does all its nonsense, gains a little life. Mikaela back up to 17. We'll see Vivian Arcbow Ranger here from Caroline's side.
Wow, yeah, and Vivian Arcbow Ranger giving Questing Beast that, a 4/4 Questing Beast is bad enough, but a 6/6 Questing Beast, and the Ranger's Guile as well.
Oh, Mikaela attempting to Aether Gust it. Caroline says no. So
wow,
we'll get across.
Ranger's Guile doing a great impression of Veil of Summer.
We will see Mikaela falling down to 10. A 6/6 Questing Beast, that's a lot scarier than a 4/4.
Yeah, it's a lot scarier, and the questing beast just goes so well with Vivian Upright Ranger, because Vivian Upright Ranger can give it trample, the only keyword it was missing, and trample and death touch, and when it deals combat damage to a player ability, just all synergize in an incredible fashion.
Yes, and it looks like Nissa animating that land. It looks like we're going to make the questing beast even bigger. Got a pelt collector here just in case something goes wrong. Might as well play it before combat. And ram through. The trample is actually important here, so it will trample over.
Jeez, ram through. Yeah, that trample from Vivian Upright Ranger just.
Like you were just saying, it's like you saw the future. That trample, that just won Carolyn the game. It might have been inevitable at that point, but it certainly closed the game out in that turn for her there. So wow.
Yeah, just a dominating display there from the mono green deck in the hands of season 2 winner, the mighty linguini Carolyn Kavanagh.
And a severe lack of blight beetles.
A severe lack of blight beetles. I'm hearing rumors that Mythic Mikaela might have had negative influences in her life to persuade her to cut the number of blight beetles in the side down to 2, and so we all know who to blame here in terms of the lack of blight beetle. But that was an incredible performance there from Carolyn. She advances to 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, Mikaela, next time, say fine, I'll only put 2 in my sideboard and then put 2 in your main deck. All right?
Oh. I like that.
That was...
I like that. Yeah, and this mono green list has really evolved since it first became a thing, and I really think that this current version is the best that it's ever been in Standard. The dropping of those filler cards like Yorvo and other stuff that was just kind of big creatures, and instead going for these synergistic, difficult to deal with, difficult to kill threats has really put this deck over the top.
Yes, it is very good, and there's a reason it's called mono green stompy over mono green aggro. I try not to call it aggro. I always tend to that because I'm like, oh, they're playing 1-drops, 2-drops, and trying to curve out and attack, but. As we just saw, Stompy is correct.
Yeah. Although it doesn't actually play Stomp, so that's a fail.
No. It doesn't. It should be like a gruel Stompy then. Well, we are
give them ideas. Don't do it.
One of my goals was eventually to have a questing beast with an Embercleave. I've seen a few people do it, and I'm like, that is something I would like to do just one day, just one time.
In your life?
In my life, I'd like to do that one time.
Wow. You could try Historic. I hear there's a Gruul aggro deck that goes
I have heard that. All right. Are we ready for our last match of the night?
I am so ready.
Because we have... the hits don't stop coming. We have the designer of our Abzan Flicker deck, HG Rose, competitor in both of the first seasons of VML, and never disappointed with their deck submissions. Always bringing some awesome spice, some original innovations, and I just absolutely love their decks. I can't get enough. When they said I was doing coverage this week and we had to pick future matches, I was like, HG Rose is a shoo-in. I love covering their decks.
Yeah, so. HG Rose always brings a new deck every rotation, every new set, and the decks they bring are always just so synergistic and so clever. They were actually one of the first people to innovate the Golgari aggro lists that had Rotting Regisaur and the Great Henge. So they were really one of the early people to adopt the kind of ramp into, I believe it was Goose, turn 2 Regisaur, turn 3 Great Henge, like that kind of list, which is as terrifying as it sounds. Yeah, and they made the top 8 of season 1 with their innovative list. So yeah, great to see them back at it again, and also sharing that wisdom with some other members in the league.
I absolutely, I cannot get enough. I absolutely adore it. I think it's just wonderful, the innovations, the deck building. And it's no surprise to me that when asked what their favorite card was, they answered Battle of Wits. So I was like, a deck that's big enough to fit all your innovations into it, you know? I love it. I love it. And well, because on the other side, we're going to see a Rakdos Sacrifice deck. So there's some different cards to watch from this deck with Extinction Event, Agonizing Remorse, Acolyte of Affliction, things like that. Because on the flip side, as you see here, we're looking at Rakdos Sacrifice, the third most popular deck in our field on the side of Jasmine.
Oh, yeah. This deck is actually really sweet. And we were talking a little bit about it earlier when we were cut off, unfortunately. But we were talking about how the banning of Cauldron Familiar really hasn't affected this deck that much at all. It definitely put a stop in the food kind of Trail of Crumbs type lists. But we're seeing Rakdos really be able to react to that ban and recover and just say, well, you don't want me to play this kind of bad card. Fine. We won't play this bad card. We will not play the oven. We're just going to put in some of these incredible new cards and new synergies.
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing Fling in here. Like you said, no Mayhem Devils. None.
Yeah, no Mayhem Devil.
None in the main or the side here. We've got Croxa, the Forgotten Titan.
The Forgotten Titan.
So we've got Dreadboard Butcher. We got some good things. And I do want to point out real quick, because we have the deck lists open here on a list, because Jasmine submitted Mismatched Mountains and Swamps. That's how it says one mountain, one mountain, one mountain, one mountain, one mountain. So their deck list is just as long as the Yorion deck list. So on MTG Gold.
Nice.
I was like, why is this page so big?
I also admire the dedication to adding different arts of mountains and swamps into the MTG Arena deck builder, because that is quite annoying to do.
Yes, so that is some devotion right there, and I do kind of love it. But I'm excited to see these two decks battle. We got some Call of Death Dweller. I want to see some Village Rites. I want to see some Yorion Blinken. I'm ready.
All right.
It looks like we are going to be watching from the side of HG Rose, who quickly keeps a 4-land, 3-spell hand with Vito, Oath of Kaya, and Elspeth. I'm hoping that we're going to see some action from Vito in this match.
Oh yeah, Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. We haven't seen it on the battlefield yet, and I really want to see this combo go off. So I love this keep here. Oath of Kaya being able to control the board early, and wow, that Yorion on top as well.
Yes, so we'll see Eiichiro starting with a couple of Scries, keeping a Yorion on top here. Jasmine going to play that Serrated Scorpion into a Mire Triton. A couple of little creatures just to get, usually graveyard fodder, get things going.
Yeah, and so I was just going to point out that, we from this Rakdos deck, we do see the 1-drops and 2-drops just like we saw from the mono white list, but this deck is not an aggressive strategy in the sense of spewing out a lot of creatures, making them huge and attacking. This is a bit more of a grindy, graveyard recursion strategy, and that might give HG Rose the opening that they need.
So they will get a Plains with that Fabled Passage and cast the Basilica Bellhaunt, forcing Jasmine to discard a card, lose some life, discarding a land on her side. We'll play a land for turn. See those mismatch basics? Gotta love it.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm usually a big proponent of matching blinged out everything, but I have to say, first of all, props to Jasmine for the bird's sleeves, the secret layer bird sleeves. They're like the most beautiful sleeves. But also, now that I see these mismatch basics in action, I have to admit they are pretty cool.
Yes. If anything, I feel like it displays the art more because they're just more pronounced next to each other. All right, we'll see Mithras of Nethroi. A nice draw there from HG Rose, taking care of that Croxa. Sending it back to the graveyard, where it started.
Yeah, you really can't let this Croxa get going too much, because you really, look at HG Rose's hand. You do not want to be, having to discard this Vito or this Yorion.
Yes. And Ishiro's still at a healthy life total at 20. Jasmine still is above their starting life total at 24. So not much damage has been inflicted on either side yet, and if it has, it's just been gained back. So
yeah, Ishiro's a little bit suspicious of this attack from the serrated scorpion. Just having a look in Jasmine's deck list, there is that copy of Fling. So maybe that's what they were a little bit worried about, taking this damage, but yeah, looks like 17 is still pretty healthy as well.
And as Jasmine reveals their hand, we see a copy of Fling, a Call of the Death Dweller, and a Luris, along with a land, off of this Agonizing Remorse from H.G. Rose's side.
Wow, and H.G. Rose actually just choosing to exile that Croxer from the graveyard. Luris and Call of the Death Dweller not really doing anything when the graveyard is this empty.
Yes. We'll see Vito hit the battlefield here.
Oh, Danny DeVito.
I like it. I like Danny DeVito.
Nicole, I'm so excited. I really can't wait for HG Rose to untap and get this combo going.
Right? It's like, I mean, Jasmine doesn't know that they have Yorion in hand, besides the one that's waiting in the wings, obviously, that's always waiting in the wings. So Yorion just waiting to come down, blink some Othakaya, blink the Bell Haunt, and just be a 4/5 flyer and do Yorion things.
Alright, Jasmine, considering her options now that the hand is more revealed, the Call of the Death Dweller and Fling,
Looks like Vito will jump in front of the Serrated Scorpion, able to block it without either creature dying. Laura's coming down onto the battlefield, not as great with an empty graveyard though. Just a 3/2 lifelinker for now.
And here we go.
Here it is. Here's the Yorion. Getting ready to blink some stuff. It was just a Mire Triton with the draw for turn. Blinking everything.
So let's like this out. So Yorion's gonna bring back the Berserker Bellhorn and the Oath of Kaya. That's 6 to the face with Vito.
Yes. It looks like Oath of Kaya is going to go after the Loris.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. A difficult card to deal with in terms of the value it provides.
Yes, and it looks like the Fling will happen before they are able to gain any life on Ishi Rose's side. So, unfortunately, we don't see any Vito triggers, but Vito made some things happen. So,
yeah, I think if you're HG Rose, you're not that upset to trade your Vito 2-for-1 with an Oath of Kai that you got back for free as well.
It looks like Acolyte of Affliction was the draw here. Brings a card back from the graveyard. We saw a Call of the Death Dweller bring back Luris. It looks like debating what to do with the 5 mana that they have open here. Acolyte of Affliction will be the play. And they'll play a land off of it.
Wow, I love this. Using Acolyte of Affliction to make that land drop and getting that Maya Triton down. It's such good, efficient use of mana from H.G. Rose.
Yes, that felt like a very good play. H.G. Rose back up to 16. Jasmine sitting at 17. When you play a Priest of Forgotten Gods.
I love Priest of the Forgotten Gods. I think when rotation happens, the Cult Priest is like one of the cards I'll be most sad to see go.
I feel like it was one of the cards that took the longest to build around. It was so just in depth, like that it took a while before it found its spot. But it had a lot of potential, and it just took a while for that potential to be realized, I feel like.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But now, we see it in these Rakdos lists in Standard. We see it in a variety of lists in Historic as well. The fact that it just does everything, it makes dex triggers, it makes mana, it draws cards. It really just does everything.
Yes. Anything you could possibly want it to. We'll see a Dreadhorde Butcher hit the battlefield here. Jasmine getting into the red zone with 3 of the creatures. All right, and Dreadhorde Butcher will die, triggering, bringing AC Rose down to 11. Acolyte of Affliction, just chump blocking. We'll see a second Myers Triton come down now, hit the battlefield, mill a couple of lands into the graveyard. Only one card left in hand on Jasmine's side.
Yeah, very heads-up block actually by HG Rose. That Myers Triton was going to die to that Dreadhorde Butcher trigger anyway, so great to trade it off for the opposing Myers Triton.
Yes. All right, we'll see an Archfiend's Vessel on Jasmine's side before a pass of the turn. Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves on HG Rose's side.
I love this.
Backbreaking.
Yeah, I love this. Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves, you know, getting that kind of pseudo removal effect as well as life gain and that second Yorion in hand as well for HG Rose.
Yorion's just waiting to come in, blink everything. You know, Jasmine's at 10 life.
Yeah, and I think what Jasmine's really looking for now is actually a way to sacrifice this Archfiend's Vessel and get it into the graveyard.
Yes.
If she can find a Village Rites, for example, to be able to draw some cards, get this Vessel into the graveyard, make a 5/5 flyer to block this Yorion, I think then, you know, Jasmine is really getting going. But this is a very competitive game here between the two players.
Yes, we'll see the 3/3 Wolf token and Yorion both get into the red zone. The token will kill the Archfiend's Vessel, so it is now in the graveyard, and we'll see that second Yorion come down.
Yeah, I love to see this. So
Flicker everything. Just everything.
Get rid of all of them.
All right. We got quite a few triggers on the stack, but that was enough from Jasmine's side. So HG Rose will take down game number 1 in our final feature match of the night here, covering Division 8. All right, let's take a look at sideboards. So HG Rose has a couple of Noxious Grass, 3 Ashiok Dream Render, 3 Night of Autumn, 3 Extinction Event, 2 Shifting Ceratops, and an Elspeth Conquers Death.
Yeah, I love that that they instantly cut the Treacherous Blessings. You don't want that against an aggro deck. And then just bring in the Extinction Events. The rest of the cards, all pretty specific cards that aren't really that relevant against Jasmine's list. Like we said earlier, no ovens in Jasmine's list, so not really a temptation to bring that Night of Autumn in. And I like this light touch kind of sideboarding here. What worked in game 1, may as well keep working.
Yes. All right, and we'll start this game with a shock land on Jasmine's side, a Serrated Scorpion, and then a tap land from HG Rose's side, passing it back. See, turn 2, Priest of Forgotten Gods. Scorpion will get in for 1, bringing HG Rose down to 19. Shockland coming in tapped here, and a pass back of the turn to Jasmine. Looks like only attacking with the Scorpion here.
I like this player a lot. The Priestess of Forgotten Gods is a much better card untapped than tapped. And presumably this means that Jasmine has something here.
Oh, well, it looks like Kroxa will be played, forcing HG Rose to discard a card, take a little damage, and then a pass back. Oath of Kaya from HG Rose's side will take care of Priest of Forgotten Gods, bringing HG Rose back up to 18. Both players at 18 right now, actually. Both players with 4 cards in hand, and both players with some action in the waiting in the wings there, with Yorions and Lurises and Kroxas. All different zones happening.
Yeah, see, there are interesting cards happening in Standard, that aren't it's not all Uras and Nisses. It can also be Tolsimir and Kroxa.
Right? There you go.
Oh, I love this. This. Village Rites, sacrifice of that Serrated Scorpion, and Call of the Deathdeal immediately bringing those guys back.
Yes, to get back up on card advantage. Priest of Forgotten Gods in play. That Serrated Scorpion with both the Death Touch and Menace counters on it, and a pass back to Jasmine, who will play their 5th land here. And again, only attacking with the Scorpion.
pretty interesting to see Ichiro's holding up this Mythos of Nethroi, which I definitely do agree with. You want to be using as much of your mana as possible, and that priest is a big problem.
It looks like Luris will be put into Jasmine's hand here, and Ichiro's will say, that's enough from the Priest of the Forgotten Gods, and let's take care of that. Priest of the Forgotten Gods goes to the graveyard. Ichiro's will play a Plains return, and our friend Tolsami, our friend to Wolves, is back.
Yeah, and the Death Touch coming in handy actually for Jasmine as that copy of Voya, the legendary wolf that Tolsami brings along, does have to die, but this Yorion Sky Nomad in hand, and these, the Tolsami and Oath on the battlefield, pretty threatening.
Yes, but we will see an Agonizing Remorse here from Jasmine's side, revealing Rose's own Agonizing Remorse and Yorion. So Yorion will be exiled, Jasmine down to 21, leaving the Agonizing Remorse in Rose's hand, but only 2 cards left in Jasmine's hand at the moment. Although she does have, never mind. And here's Kroxa.
Yeah, Kroxa was the only real choice here, I think, for Jasmine. It really needs to get rid of that Agonizing Remorse before it could take down the Kroxa, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And this Fable Passage, Rose being very diligent this entire match to keep these extra land drops in hand, knowing that there's a Kroxa on the other side.
Yes, and it looks like Kroxa and the Serrated Scorpion both getting into the red zone here.
Wow,
Tolsami looks too important.
Yeah, that Tolsami is, one of Rose's, avenues back out of this hole that she's currently in. So,
well, Yorion will hit the battlefield, and we'll just blink everything again. Unfortunately, this time everything is only an Oath of Kaya and the Tolsami playing the Fable Passage. Tolsami and Oath of Kaya will both re-enter the battlefield. The Wolf will fight the Priest of the Forgotten Gods. The Oath of Kaya will take care of that Luris, and we'll pass the turn back.
Yeah, the life gain really, really important here, actually, as Kroxa, when you're empty-handed, is just going to bolt you in the face every time it attacks. I like this, I like this Rose checking how many cards are in the graveyard for Jasmine. Thinking about whether to make this block here. Unfortunately, I think it's, I think Rose basically has to try and delay this Kroxa more. But the annoying thing is that when you put it in the graveyard, it just means that if Jasmine can find a way to get another card in, Jasmine can actually get another trigger this very turn.
Yeah, it looked like the client did not want Rose to double block Kroxa there for a second, but ultimately, the Wolf token and the Yorion will get in front of Kroxa. Noxious Grass on the Yorion here.
Oh, that was huge! That Noxious Grass making the 2-for-1 there. Wow, I think this game is pretty locked up now for Jasmine.
That could not have felt good. Gutter Bones being the follow-up play on Jasmine's side. So Rose staring down that formidable board at 8 life here with a Tolsami, friend to Wolves, playing a tap land and passing the turn back. I'm not sure that there is anything that could help get Rose out of this game.
Well, Rose does have this Castle Ardenvale token this turn, so it's not lights out just yet, but I think she really is looking for a copy of Yorion. I think Yorion, possibly Oath of Kaya, but I think Yorion is the only real card that's going to provide even close to enough value to be able to get Rose back into this.
Oh, call Death Dweller, bringing back Luris again, which brings back Priest of the Forgotten Gods again.
Will they just not go away?
Yes. Acolyte of Affliction was the draw for turn, but just not enough to keep Rose in the game. So we will be going to a game 3 here. It's definitely been a very exciting match, and it is fun to see some fresh, new, underappreciated cards in Standard.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. Like, look at these decks. They're both so synergistic. You know, they work so well. HG Rose's deck, obviously, you know, a brilliant innovation, and the Raptor Sacrifice deck also, you know, we don't see as much of it as we should, I think, and just super great to see VML competitors thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yes, it is definitely wonderful. We'll see a Triome enter the battlefield tapped and a Castle Lockthwain on HG Rose's side. Jasmine started with an Archfiend's Vessel right off the bat, followed up by a Dreadhorde Butcher will be taken care of by Eliminate. Deal the 1 damage to HG Rose, and the Archfiend Vessel will get in for 1 more, bringing HG Rose down to 18. Agonizing Remorse.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that HG Rose really needs to draw something reasonably cheap, because this hand is a little bit slower. Basilica Bellhorn is gonna do something to help from next turn onwards, but we'll see whether Jasmine can capitalize on this slower start.
Yeah, it looks like HG Rose opts to add the Yori into their hand last turn. We'll still curve out on 4 here, being able to play a Basilica Bellhaunt after fetching a Plains there with the Fabled Passage, forcing Jasmine to discard and gain 3 life. Discarding, not so bad when you have a Croxa in the graveyard, though. So,
yeah, you know, some of these cards maybe help your opponent a little more than you really want them to.
And now we see a second Croxa hit the battlefield. HG Rose deciding to discard the Agonizing Remorse. That 5th land, too important, as Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, is the draw for turn here.
Yeah, I mean, Tolsimir, we've just seen this card do a lot of work already in this matchup, and be interesting to see whether... Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be interesting to see whether HG Rose decides to eat that Archfiend's Vessel or trade with the Maya Triton. I really like this trading with the Maya Triton here, very aware, of course, of Call of the Death Dweller and similar cards.
Yes, and we'll see. The Archfiend Vessel also not blocking the Basilica Bellhaunt, so just keeping it alive for now.
Yeah, I imagine Jasmine just really wants to leave herself open to drawing Village Rites. That Archfiend's Vessel, you know, can provide you with a lot more when you have that going.
Yes, that is a good call. We'll see Croxa emptying the graveyard and entering the battlefield on Jasmine's side as HG Rose draws Extinction Event.
Wow, okay. I mean, so this is really interesting here. Extinction Event, Croxa is, apart from the Basilica Bellhorn and Croxa, are the only even CMCs on the battlefield.
Croxa, even the Basilica Bellhaunt and the Croxa, and I guess now the 3/3 token, but they HG Rose opting to go with Tolsimir here over casting the Extinction Event. Unfortunately, we'll lose the Extinction Event after this turn if Croxa decides to attack, or if Jasmine decides to attack with Croxa.
Yeah, I guess that this does make sense. Your Yorion is much more important than your Extinction Event. Oh,
that's an interesting one here.
Is that the Death Dollar?
Looks like we'll put obviously both counters on the Archfiend's Vessel, but it doesn't really matter because both creatures that were brought back are now gone. I mean, Archfiend's Vessel gets exiled to make that 5/5, and the other Croxa did not escape, so it is gone.
Oh, this Ashok Dreamrender just a ton late here for HG Rose. But yeah, still able to a little bit, and I think it's a little too late to really do much. Don't obviously empty the graveyard for of Jasmine.
Yes.
But it would have been great to be able to get that Archfiend Vessel last time.
Well, do you think HG Rose will still be able to get control of this battlefield? As I feel like that's the question now.
You know, looking at HG Rose's list, there's a couple of cards that can really deal with these bigger threats. And really you're looking at cards like the Mythos of Nithroid, Extinction Event, and I believe there were a couple of maybe other spot removal spells. I think Eliminate as well could take care of that Croxa, but you know, HG is really looking for a big draw here.
Yes, so we'll see Another removal spell taking care of that double block on Croxa, so all we end up with is a couple of chunk blocks. An Eliminate here, however, would be able to take care of one of the attackers on Jasmine's side. And it looks like we're going to go with the Croxa, doing that before activating Ashiok.
Okay, I like this. So this leaves Jasmine with only a 5/5 flyer, and a 5/5 flyer is pretty scary, but HG Rose still at 23. And you'd imagine that Jasmine might want to attack this Ashiok again.
Yes, and it looks like Jasmine will take care of the Ashiok now off the board, and she will also add Lurrus to her hand, so now she has 2 cards in hand. Agonizing Remorse, the draw from H.G. Rose's side, but will decide not to cast it here.
Yeah, I think I like leaving up this Castle Lothlane. Agonizing Remorse at the end of the day isn't going to make enough of a difference because that Lurrus doesn't do anything when your opponent doesn't have anything in the graveyard. So H.G. Rose really looking for a higher impact card with this Castle Lothlane.
So it looks like Jasmine will Agonizing Remorse away. H.G. Rose's Agonizing Remorse. And Flicker of Fate. And Llanowar Visionary on H.G. Rose's side here.
Okay.
Definitely some interesting cards.
Okay, I like this. Flicker of Fate is going to be able to untap this Tolsimir, as it were, and also get rid of that Lurrus, which is a great deal for 2 mana.
That is wonderful. When we say Abzan Flicker, we're not just talking about Yorion here. So take the Flicker theme the whole way.
Yeah, the actual card, Flicker of Fate. We'll see whether it's H.G. Rose's destiny to win this one or not.
Yes. All right. It looks like H.G. Rose will decide not to Agonizing Remorse here. Almost did. Decided not to. Jasmine, 2 cards left in hand. Still a 5/5 flyer on the battlefield. That's going to need to be dealt with at some point. But
yeah, it is interesting to see H.G. Rose not fire off this Agonizing Remorse. Definitely very aware of discard effects coming from the other side, but you know there was enough mana also to activate it and cast the Agonizing Remorse. But I do like this. I do like that. You know, H.G. Rose very aware of protecting the cards in hand.
Ooh, and a Noxious Grasp to take care of Tolsimir in response to that Agonizing Remorse, revealing only a Blood Crypt in Jasmine's hand. So it's pretty much what you see is what you get here. We have Jasmine at 15, H.G. Rose at 12. Jasmine's got a 5/5 flyer against the 2/2 Llanowar Visionary as we race for the finish line here in Game 3.
Oh, yeah, H.G. Rose has 2 draws. Well, has a draw off the Lothlane and a draw step. And both of those cards can be very key. Let's see what they can find.
Ooh, a Temple Garden and a plane. So many lands.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure we scried 2 lands to the bottom here, too. Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Piling on. Oh. You hate to see it.
Yeah. Very unfortunate.
You know, Castle Lothlane is a very good, very powerful Magic card, but unfortunately sometimes it just doesn't work out.
I mean, I fully respect H.G. Rose's commitment to the Castle Lothlane was just keep going. Keep drawing, keep losing life.
One of my favorite cards in Standard. Honestly, I was a mono black player for some time. That's what I played most of the season last season. So I love Castle Lothlane. Won me a lot of games, but lost me a couple too. So
yeah,
well, when it couldn't help.
What a great match for our 4th match of the evening, Nicole. Like, you know, we talk about spicy decks, and sometimes I think we talk about spicy decks in a slightly not derogatory, but you know, with a wink and a smile, in the sense that we think, oh, here's a spicy list, and it's not going to be good. That's like the implication, right? A lot of the time. But you see H.G. Rose's build with this Abs and Yorion, and you know, unfortunately, we did see H.G. Rose draw a lot of lands in that last game and not get that. But the powerful things that it can do, the flickering, the recursion, all of these enter the battlefield, and that Vita combo, I just think that it's just so cool and so innovative to have deck builders like Ishiro's in the VML.
No, I do. I absolutely adore it. I adore the innovation, and honestly, it's also a meta call. You know, we had so many players bringing Sultai this week, and that deck. You know, when speaking to Ishiro's, they said that it has a phenomenal Sultai matchup. So it's kind of like you're rolling the dice. You hope that that's what you end up playing against, and it's not like a regular tournament where you go, well, I didn't play against in round 1, maybe I'll play against in round 2. Like decks are going to switch next week. So we got to back to the drawing board, start all over again. No pressure though, Ishiro's. I'm looking for another spicy one next week, but no pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that Ishiro's is already working on a lot of builds for Zendikar Rising, so definitely looking forward to seeing what they bring next week. And like you say, our players, you know, back to the drawing board this week. Everyone's going to be reading up on what their opponent for next week brought and trying to see what they can do against them.
Yes, I expect nothing less. But I guess that does it for week 1 of our VML Season 3. Again, a big thanks to our sponsor, RTO, Lodestone Coffee and Games in Minnesota. Check them out. Lodestone CG on Twitter, lodestonecoffeeandgames.com on the web. You can go there, Magic Singles, Magic Sealed products, like they got everything. Like I was saying, they have D&D products, so I'm gonna have to learn about D&D before this Magic D&D sets comes out. So I'll be heading there. We want to big shout out to all of our special contributors to our prize pool. If you want to donate to
I would really like to say a huge thank you to everybody who's donated to the prize pool. We really, you know, it started out as a community kind of effort, and very huge thanks to Lodestone for working with us, being our TO, helping us collect entry fees and all of that, handling the prize pool, and a huge thank you to everybody who's donated. You can see all of their names on the screen there, and if you would also like to donate, you can type !donate into the chat, and it will take you to the tournament page where you can contribute.
Yes. So to everyone who has supported us, even just by being here and watching, we thank you. We couldn't do this without you. You all are fantastic. You know, this is it's important to us. It's important to our community, and we're glad to be able to share this all with you.
Yeah. I will also say to everybody who has stuck around, thank you, and also do come back next week. Do come back every week, because this season we've got a really cool roster of special guests lined up, and I'm really, really excited to reveal to everyone what we've got in store.
Spoilers?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know if we can say anything yet, because I'm not sure all of the dates are set in stone, but definitely look out, because we've got some really cool personalities joining us.
Yes, and make sure you follow us on Twitter, because then you will be the first to know at AspirantCCG. But until then, we will catch you all next week. I am Nicole, Lady of the Crease, joined here by Hayu Nefet, and have a wonderful evening.
See you later.